gorgeous, welcome back to the makeup aisle. Today's video is going to be a tutorial slash get ready with me on this look you see right here. I actually had filmed it the other day and I just didn't like the way it came out. I have filmed a black smoky eye tutorial on my channel. It was many months ago, so that's why I'm not necessarily calling this a tutorial, even though I go through the steps and blending and where I put certain things, what I'm using in that, you know, kind of all of that. And you can take it as you want it. It could be a tutorial, it could be a get ready with me and talk a little bit throughout, but for the most part, I'm really putting together this look. I am going out, so it really is a get ready with me video, but this is basically one of my go-to looks during the fall and winter seasons. I love a good smoky eye any time of year, but I absolutely adore it during the fall, especially during the month of October. Everything just because of Halloween, which is one of my favorite seasons, or holidays, I should say. Everything gets very dark in my house. When I decorate, I use a lot of grays and blacks, reds, merlots, that sort of thing. So for me, this look is just absolute perfection during this season. It's going to be already autumn next week here in Connecticut. So, and we also get 4 seasons, so the air is starting to get a little cooler. Everything, you know, you kind of feel like you just want to nest a little more than when you do in the summer. So we're going to go through this look. Again, you can take it as you want it. I do go through everything, but if you have any specific questions, just leave them down in the comment bar below and I'll make sure to answer them. So without further ado, let's get ready with me doing this black smoky eye. As usual, I've already done my forehead, I've done the eyebrows, I've already primed my eyelids using my MAC Paint Pot and Painterly, and I've tight lined up top. To start, I am going to go in with my Pat McGrath Black Smudge Liner Eye Kohl. This came with her Dark Star 006 set. That is no longer available, but any kohl type of eyeliner, like the MAC Kohl, is very good. Also, I've used the Maybelline Color Tattoo in black. That is absolutely perfect to do what I'm going to do now. I just use this for this look, but as long as it smudges out very nicely and gives you really nice deep black coloring on the lid, you're absolutely fine. So I'm just going to put that all over the lid on both eyes. And as you can see, I'm keeping it very low, just on the eyelid. I'm not going above the crease just yet, but I will start kind of bringing that up because obviously, as you can see, my eyes are hooded and you lose almost all the color that I have on there. Once I'm done applying the pencil, I am going to take just like a regular small fluffy brush and then start basically smudging out the edges so it's not very harsh. I'm not going in with any more color just yet. I just want to smudge out the top so that I have no harsh lines. And one thing to know if you've never done a smoky eye is that, especially a black smoky eye, the name of the game is blending, and I mean blending. I will blend several minutes on each eye because you want it perfect. Basically, a smoky eye, and it can be any color, it just means that the look is smoked out. There are no harsh lines, whereas some other looks, maybe like a cut crease or just some other looks, may have those defined lines so you can see you know, certain spaces on the eyes and what's meant to be seen. But with a smoky eye, you want that buffed out like from here to eternity. So tonight, a group of us is going to see the movie It. It's so funny because when I mention that to some people, they're like, oh my God, what? And I am not a scary movie person. I don't like them. It's just not my favorite genre of movie. I'm a scaredy cat, I can say that, chicken shit. And so I don't pay money to go see something that is going to scare the crap out of me. It was a different story. I watched the miniseries when it came out in the 90s, which I believe was on ABC over 2 nights. And so for me, even though I was in high school at the time, it it's one of those things that's kind of part of my childhood. So scary as it might be, I'm going to go watch it. It is rated R, and so I know I'm just gonna poop my pants, but that's okay. I am purposefully going to pay to poop my pants, so I'm all right with that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into my Melt Dark Matter stack, and I am gonna go into the shade Blur, and I am just gonna start going above my natural crease to have a really good transition shade, because you want to use transition colors, especially with smoky eyes, because you need something to be able to kind of blur the colors together. You don't want them to be just black, gray, white. It doesn't look right. So colors like this are perfect because it just helps you to blend everything out much better than, you know, blending it just on its own or trying to blend it on its own. Then I'm just going to roll into the next color, which is Unseen. So as you can see, it's a little darker, and I'm going to do the exact same thing with the exact same brush, which is my E40 tapered blending from Sigma, which of course you know is what I usually use. This also for me helps me to kind of gauge where I should end, sometimes putting colors, unless I'm specifically working on a look that I want it to be literally the entire eye. This helps me to stop in a certain point, especially with black smoky eyes. Any smoky eye, but black especially, because the color can quickly look as if somebody punched you in both eyes, and I know that a lot of people are scared to do this look because of that fact. So this just helps me to kind of rein stuff in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Dark Matter, which is the black. I am going to pick up the brush that I was using initially, which is a ColourPop brush, to blend this out. I'm going to pack this on the lid first. I'm not going to pack it on any other portion of the eye, just over the black that I have, and then I will start blending it out. One thing too with black smoky eyes, or really any smoky eyes, I tend to do my eyes first anyway before I put on any foundation or anything. I never fail to get a little bit of fallout no matter what shadows I'm using, so it just helps me to be able to do this first and then clean under my eyes and do the rest of my face. So with this, I would absolutely recommend doing your eyes first and then finishing off the rest of the face. That way you can be as messy as you want to be without worries about, you know, then this looking really shaded or anything like that. So now at this point, I'm going to take that same brush without adding any more color, and I am going to start buffing this up. And if you hear that whirring sound in the background, like a white noise, that's my fan, because it's hot as shit in the basement today. That's where I usually film. That's where my beauty room is. It's a finished basement, and it is cooler than the rest of the house, but still can get warm at certain points. So with this eye, I do have to be careful, only because for some reason this lid just takes color so much better than the other eye that it is very, very easy for me to overdo it very quickly. So I'm always very conscious of what I'm doing on this eye when I'm blending out color. And so what I'm doing, because my eyes are hooded, I'm looking into the mirror straight ahead, and this is just a good tip for any look that you're doing. I'm finding my natural crease and kind of that hooded part, and I am gonna definitely take this above that portion, or else you will never see this. Then what I'm doing is I'm going to bring it up even higher, but not by adding any more color to the brush. I'm just using what I have to move it up a little higher up on the eye, kind of getting to that area where I put the other, like the taupey and the brown colors. That's where I know that I can take it up to without it looking a disaster. And I always want to look in the mirror as I'm continuously buffing this up to make sure that it's even on both sides. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into dark matter. I'm going to place this color back on the lid. I want the lid to be very dark and very matte. And again, I'm just going to put that color concentrated on the lid. I don't want to move it up with more color on the brush. And it's not a hard process per se. You just have to make sure that everything is blended really well with any smoky eye. But I think the black smoky eye tends to scare people. And even now, even though I've done these looks, you know, this specific look so many times in my own personal life, I still mess up and, you know, will take the color way too high up and it looks crazy and I have to start over. So it's one of those things where you do get better as you do it, but you can still mess up if you're kind of playing loosey-goosey with the hand and the color and where you're placing it. What I want to do is I want to wipe off this brush just a bit because I don't want to go cuckoo nuts with the color here. And I'm going to take that same brush that I was just using and have been using, and I'm going to do it again where I'm just blending up top and making sure that everything is really blown out. So I can see that I've gotten to the area where I had put down that brown shade. What I am going to do is I am going to pick up this color, which is Enigma from the Dark Matter stack, and I love this color. I am going to pick up a fluffier brush. I'm going to do the E40 because I want that color to be very blown out. Even though I'm going to try to be target specific, I want it to be a little more blown out than just using a smaller blending brush. So I'm going to put just a little bit on the brush, tap off the excess, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start halfway on the black and halfway on my actual lid because I want it to be very well blended in between the colors where you don't necessarily see lid space. I want to make sure that's buffed out very, very well. Again, you just want to make sure you don't have any harsh lines or anything. So I'm going to put a little more of that red on the brush, and I'm going to do the same thing. Because I want the red to be pretty prominent in its coloring so that it just doesn't look like it's more black, but that you can tell it's, you know, red or some sort of pink or something. Pink is very nice as well to go up in this same area when you're doing a black smoky eye. Like a hot pink is really nice. As long as it's buffed out, the coloring is going to look really nice. I would steer clear of like navies. I believe that those are types, like that's a type of color that can actually make you look like you have a black eye. So you always want to be careful what color you're placing up top there so that you don't look like you do have a black eye no matter how well you've buffed it out. So the red, I have it the way I want to, like the color saturation is just how I want it. So I'm just going to clean off this brush and I'm going to use it again just to continue to buff out the edges, make sure that there's nothing that's too harsh, and just make it really nice and smoky. I'm now going to go into my Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, and I am going to pick up this very stark matte white, which is called Soleos. It is one of my favorite matte whites to highlight the brow bone with. And with a black smoky eye, I mean, you do whatever you want. If you want a sparkly brow bone highlight, absolutely go for it. I personally prefer with a smoky black eye to use a very matte, stark white. But again, you do you. However you want to make the eye look is absolutely fine. There are no rules in makeup. This is just my preference. It doesn't mean that you have to do it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean up under the eyes. I'm also going to do winged liner. You don't always have to do winged liner with a black smoky eye, especially if you're going to be putting on lashes and you have lashes of your own. I do notice a little difference when I put on the winged liner, so I'm going to do that as well as clean up under the eyes, and then we'll be back to finish off the rest of the face. So I cleaned up under my eyes and I did my winged liner. I also kind of pushed you back a bit because I'm going to do the rest of my face now. What I want to do is talk a little bit first about the foundations I'm going to be using today, because I'm going to be mixing two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix those off camera just so that it goes a little quicker. But I want to talk to you about it before I actually put the corrector under my eyes, because it's just going to kind of be sitting there. So for corrector and concealer today, I'm going to be using the LA Girl Pro Conceals, the orange for the correcting, and then what shade? Warm Honey for the concealing. I used these two the other day together and whew, I was blown away. Like, I like both products, and actually I love the orange corrector. It's one of my favorite correctors. But after I was looking under my eyes and I was like, damn girl, like it was beautiful. So I wanted to whip those out today again and use them together to really get a nice high coverage underneath the eyes, because I am going to be doing a full coverage foundation today. So the foundation that I'm going to be using is the Lancome Teint Adult, I think it's called, Ultra 24-Hour Makeup. You can already see from that is way too dark for me. I had actually ordered this off of HSN, and of course the shading on the computer was quite different. But then what I did was I ordered another color, which is 230 Buff Warm, and that is obviously way too light for me. So I'm going to go ahead and mix those off camera, and then when I come back I will do the corrector and we'll keep rolling from there. For primer today, I'm going to be using my Makeup Forever Step 1 Mattifying, which is one of my favorite mattifying primers. It's still warm even though we're getting into autumn here in Connecticut, so still got to kind of keep this summer makeup or summer prep around. So I'm going to go in with the LA Girl Pro Conceal in Orange, which is one of my favorite correctors. I'm going to go in with my Real Techniques sponge, and I am just going to press that into the skin. So I've mixed the two Lancome foundations, as I said that I was going to do, and then I just mixed them up a bit. I also added the Urban Decay Velvetizer. I just got this in. I have heard wonderful, wonderful things about it, so I cannot wait to use this and see how it works for me. So I'm just gonna, I've mixed it with a Real Techniques Expert Face Brush, and I'm just gonna apply that over my face. And then what I will do is I will buff it out with a damp beauty blender. I'm just bringing it down to my neck area just a bit because it is a little darker than my neck area. But I don't know, I'm so used to not looking so pale. So I think I purposefully like stop myself from going any lighter, but I do like the way this shade looks. It's not too bad. It looks warm but not really dark, so I love it. And I love the way get a little more of a matte finish. I always set anyway with powder, but I like the way it's looking with the velvetizer. And I tried to look on the box to see how much you put. I just kind of sprinkled stuff in there to really get it in there. So I'm going to go in then with the LA Girl Pro Concealer. And then I'm just going to use the damp beauty blender to mix that into the skin, or press it into the skin. To set the under eye powder today, I'm going to use the Kat Von D Shade and Light Contour Palette. These, the original ones, basically have been showing up at TJ Maxx stores and Marshall stores. One of my good friends was in the store the other day and sent me a text, and I'm like, get it for me and I will pay you back, because when I went shopping for it probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a little longer, I found one, but one of the contours was completely broken, so I wasn't going to get it. But this was in immaculate, just pristine condition. So again, the formula hasn't changed. It's just the old one where you can't you know, the new one is the refillable one. This is not the refillable one. So I am going to grab my MAC 183, I think it is. Like it's, the numbers are rubbing off. And then I'm going to go into the banana shade right here. I usually use banana under my eyes because I just like that it brightens it up and also sets my concealer. And I am liking the way that is looking. So thank you, Kat Von D and Marshalls and TJ Maxx. To set the rest of the face, even though I do have a nice, actually matte finish to this, I am going to be using my Flower Beauty loose powder. And I am just grabbing my BH Cosmetics V4. So what we're going to do now is we're going to finish the bottom of the eyes. I am going to basically do what I did up top, but what I'm going to do is I am going to start with a pencil just to kind of draw a line close to the lash line. Remember, I don't have any eyelashes, so for me, I kind of have to fake that smokiness under, you know, on the bottom portion of my eyes, because with lashes, as you're kind of buffing out color, your lashes also kind of thicken up, I think, and it just adds to the smokiness of any eye look, really. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go in with a different pencil on the bottom. I'm going to do the Revlon Color Stay 2-in-1 Angled Kajal. You guys have seen this on my channel recently a lot because I really love it. I love the way it lends itself to just be a very, very smoky pencil. As the hours progress, I find that it smokes itself out. It's very hard to describe, but it's one of those pencils that just smudges out beautifully as you continuously wear it. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to draw a line as close to the lash line as possible. This is not tight lining just yet, though. And so what I'm doing here, if you could see from that angle, is I'm actually bringing the pencil down just a bit. So I drew a line and then I'm going a little lower with the same pencil so that the line is just a little thicker, because I'm going to smudge that out anyway. I'm going to dip back into the Melt Dark Matter stack, and I am going to pick up Dark Matter, which is that black. I'm going to use my E36 brush from Morphe, which is what I usually use to buff out the bottom lash line. I'm going to pick up a little bit of that black, make sure I tap off any excess, and then I am basically just going to go about smudging that line out. So if you can tell the difference there, and here I'll just zoom you in a bit. So where I've smoked this out as opposed to the line here, it's a little messy, but we'll smoke that out. But this just looks buffed out and smoky the way it's supposed to look. What I also tend to do on the corners here is I will connect just in the corner there to make sure that I don't have really any skin showing, so that it's smoked out with the top line. So to buff out the bottom of the eye just a bit more, I'm going to go into Enigma with the same brush. I basically just cleaned it off. I'm going to pick up just a little bit of that, tap off the excess, and then like I did up top, I'm just going to go like half on the black and half on my skin, because I don't want the red to be so prominent that it looks like you have space in between the black and the red. Then for the inner corner, I'm going to go back into the Shade and Light palette. I'm going to pick up that Stark White again, and I am going to be using my Real Techniques smudge brush. I'm going to pick up a little of that and just pop it in the inner corner. I'm going to bronze the skin today, although the skin is a little darker, so sometimes I feel like I don't have to bronze. But I am going to use the Shade and Light palette since it is my first time using it. And I am going to go in with my Luxie 512 small contouring brush. So I am going to bronze, but I think I'm going to contour a little more in this video, just because, again, the look, I feel, for me anyway, is really kind of full coverage and a full face of makeup. So I am going to jump actually into the lightest shade here and just kind of carve out those cheekbones. My contour tends to be very, very soft. I don't personally like harsh contour, but again, you do you. If you like a really nice harsh contour with the baking and everything so that it's light, dark, light, go for it. It's not my preferred method of doing on my skin, so that's why a lot of times you don't see me contouring. I tend to just bronze. Then I'm going to grab my BH Cosmetics 114. I'm going to go into the deeper shade here, and I am going to bronze my skin. For blush today, I wanted to go a little deeper than like a pink or something. So I decided to use my Makeup Geek blush in Desire, and that is what it looks like. It is one of the prettiest blushes that I have ever used. Extremely pigmented, so you have to be careful when you're applying this. You have to have a light hand and just build it up. And if you can see from there, I got a really good amount of coverage with just dipping this brush in one time for both sides. Highlighter today, I'm actually going to go a little more subdued. I'm going to use the Essence Pure Nude highlighter. If you haven't heard about this highlighter, I would suggest you get it right away. It's $5. They usually have it on sale in Ulta, or you can get it online as well. It is just the prettiest highlight. Just, there's something there, but it's not crazy. If you are somebody, as you could you probably see it there, like it looks a lot, it's really not that much, but it just gives the skin a really nice glow. There's no glitter, you know, no chunks of anything in there. It's just a very pretty subtle glow that works so beautifully. I'm going to pop on some false lashes. I'm also going to style my hair off camera, and then I'll be back to finish off the rest of the face. So I put on my false lashes, and I also put my hair up to look a little more presentable. And what I'm going to do is finish off the lips now. I am going to start out with the NARS Precision Lip Liner in Le Lavender. And I've used this before on my channel. It has quickly become one of my favorite lip liners because it is just absolutely gorgeous, goes on the lips beautifully, and doesn't tend to fade even under lipstick. And as I usually have been doing, I will fill in the entire lip area with the pencil, not just outline on the outside. For lipstick today, I'm using the Milani lipstick in number 42, which is Rose Femme. I tried this combo for the first time the other day and absolutely fell in love. It is for me one of just the most perfect, like mauvey purple shades on the lips. It's very muted, so it's not necessarily bright, but I think it's just so gorgeous the way the pencil and the lipstick just kind of mesh well together to just make this gorgeous, gorgeous look. So that's the look. I hope it's something that you enjoyed watching. I hope it inspires you to try it on yourself or even perhaps someone else. If you have any questions about any of the specific products that I used, although I will link everything down below, please just leave it below in the comment bar. Before you leave, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Also click that little bell so you get alerted as to whenever I upload new videos. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.